The first thing on my mind is talking about high school sports. That's what we're all about here at mouthpiecesports.com on the high school roundtable. And the table is a little tilted, I think, in terms of the way athletes are entering programs now. And what I mean by that is there seems to be a great deal more competition for high school kids' attention, whether it's video games or other sports that weren't around when old guys like me graduated 24 years ago. There wasn't a lacrosse team, there wasn't a boys volleyball team, there wasn't a soccer team at my high school. Now they're all big, they're getting bigger, and I'm wondering how much harder it is for you, Coach DeCanio, to get football players when you're competing with those other sports.
Well, you know, it's hard. I'll tell you what the hard thing is. Again, the hard thing for us is kids aren't growing up the same way we did. There's no imagination anymore. There's no get 9 gloves and 1 bat and 1 ball and go to the park and drop your mitt at shortstop when there's 3 outs. There's no creativity anymore. There's AAU, takes them away. Right. So AAU tells these kids you're going to be in the NBA. There's personal trainers out there that are killing us, that they're promising these kids, work hard, and you're going to be a Division I player. Until we get back to the creativity and the imagination of our youth, that's when kids will get interested again in coming off our sport where we don't have to beg them. Fortunately, at Fenwick, we don't have to beg kids to play football. Numbers are dropping, but I see it in the youth all over the place, that they are being geared by money-making market, either by AAU, by personal trainers, by video games, and they're being driven by this, and the parents are buying into it. Let's get back to the creativity, the imagination of our youth. Let them go out and organize themselves. What's wrong with a kid organizing a game on his own? I don't see the crime in that.
Coach Hogan,
that's what's killing us right now, I think.
29 years coaching high school baseball. Obviously, you've seen this develop. How do we now win kids? How do you kind of counteract this program mentality?
I've been very fortunate. I guess I've been blessed. I've not had a numbers problem for baseball, where a lot of the teams that are in our Catholic League have lost a lot of kids to volleyball. And so teams that used to have a freshman, sophomore, and varsity level now have a soft level in baseball. And we not had that problem. I think a lot of the stronger programs, the tradition and the continual winning, and that isn't to do this, but when it's down there and the stability of the program, that's the key word. Go along with Joe, the stability of the program that we've all been involved with brings more kids in. I mean, every program at Fenwick is very stable, and we're not hurting for numbers. So I feel for the teams that don't have enough freshmen to come out. I feel for those teams, and I look at mine. I'm cutting 60 freshmen. Wow. But I can see that the volleyball takes it, and lacrosse takes kids away from our girls softball team. They're not really taking it, but what would you rather do? Would you rather sit on the bench and work your way into softball, or would you like to go out and play lacrosse? That's right. That's what we're running into. So.
And you can't do both, and I think a lot of schools would like to have the problem these two. And he mentioned, we're talking about the Chicago Catholic League. I mean, this is one of the most legendary leagues in the United States of America that's produced fantastic athletes on every level. Pat, how do we curb this? What do we do moving forward to solidify these teams in every school across the country?
You constantly have to find a group of people, and these guys, feel free to jump in if I'm not making sense here. Make sure that you know that these kids are your core kids, honest to God. And by that I mean, with so many things going on and so many different choices, it's easy to get swayed if you don't think you're good enough to make varsity, or you don't think you're going to play as much on varsity. You hear it from the upstart sports. Hey, come play with us. You'll get your PT. We'll get you involved. You'll be, you could be a superstar with us. And you have a kid abandoning a sport that they're better in than they know, to go over to try this thing that they've never played before. And I've seen it happen. I can think of a specific example with a female student who is a great softball player, but did not want to play softball anymore. She wanted to focus on a new sport, possibly, or condition for another sport that she played during that off season. When really you have to make sure that they know that they're of value. And as coaches, you have to make sure that you're paying enough attention to your people that come out when they're on the lower levels. so that they know that they're wanted, that they know that they're appreciated. And I think that goes a long way. If you hear from, if you're a kid and you're a freshman or you're a sophomore, and you hear from the varsity head coach that he or she knows your name, that means the world to a 16-year-old kid. They go, Mom, Dad, Coach Hogan knows who I am. That's great. I didn't even know he knew my name. You know, I think that. So as coaches, you have to be careful. You have to identify your lower levels and make sure that they know they're appreciated.
There's an excellent chance Coach Hogan could have coached their mom or dad as long as he's been.
That started this year. That's
Nice.
Coach,
my dad rode the bench.
I
Yeah.
jest, but one of the things that leads me into is these players. It's obviously tougher to get multi-sport athletes now because kids are specializing. We touched on some of these private instructions and the desire to get scholarships because they're so rare and they're so valuable with the money invested to send a kid to college these days. I wonder, with all of the things that high school kids and teenagers are into now, are the athletes you're getting as well prepared for their sport as they once were? For example, Joe, do you have to teach 15-year-olds how to get into a three-point stance as easily as before, or are they ahead of where they were before? Maybe I'm off base.
Well, you know what? At our place, we kind of structure that. I think they're ahead at our place than they were before.
That's surprising.
You know, and there's one reason why. It's because our kids listen. Our athletic director and our athletic component at Fenwick is we want our kids to be multiple sport athletes. Like you were saying during the break. You know, when we were going to school, it was football, baseball, basketball. You know, and I'm a big proponent of that. Coach Hogan, Coach Quinn, I know our kids are doing something. I know they're taking instruction. I know they're getting the best instruction. So when they come to us in the football season, getting a three-point stance, now you might have to show them again, but they're going to hop right into it. They're not being polluted by outside sources. It's a common goal for all of us. Hey, listen, we all want to win.
Sure.
And we all want to take care of our kids. And we all have the same common goal for one another. Matter of fact, I froze out there watching Dave's team play today. You know, it wasn't, you know, but it was fun. It was fun to see our football players on, you know, they called me the general manager when I was sitting in the dugout, you know, because I had my tie on. But it was fun to see our football players acknowledge that I was in their dugout.